The Shared Outcomes Fund Trees Outside Woodland research project ran 4 pilots testing different ways which this hugely important but often overlooked part of our treescape could be supported and re-established. In this film, you'll hear from the team of local authority project officers who ran the Tree Schemes pilot about what they learned along the way and what the data they gathered shows.
I'm Emma Cross, I'm the project officer based at the Norfolk County Council.
And I'm Louise Botfoy, I'm the project officer from Kent.
I'm Debbie Murray, I've been maternity cover for the project officer at Norwich.
I'm Nick Rolls, I'm the project officer for Shropshire Council, and we lead on trees on farms, agroforestry and horties.
I'm Sophie, I'm the project officer based in Chichester District Council, and we led on the Tree Schemes pilot. The Tree Schemes, the aim of the pilot was to look at whether if you ran free or versus subsidised tree schemes, what would be more effective at getting trees in the ground, what would increase the survival rate, what increased the establishment rate of the trees. So the tree schemes were run, we ran 1 year where we offered free tree schemes. So we offered bundles of trees, guards and canes to community groups, schools, parish councils, residents, farmers. Pretty much anybody could apply to the scheme as long as the site was suitable and they had landowner permission. So in the first year, everything was offered for free, and in the second year, we offered the same package, but the trees were at a 50% cost. So the local authority, we paid for the first 50%, and the applicant had to subsidise the rest of the cost, so they had to pay the 50% remainder. So I didn't have any expectations, I don't think, of what I was going to find running a tree scheme. Our hypothesis in the pilot was that if you ask people to pay a contribution towards their trees, it will increase survival rate, because the theory is we thought they would look after them better, they might water them more when it was dry, mulch them a bit more, the care would increase. So that was the hypothesis, but I didn't have any real idea of what we were going to find. Chichester District Council, we hadn't run a tree scheme before, so that was quite interesting to see what the uptake would be like and what we would find.
In Shropshire, we have run a scheme for about 15-20 years, and so I knew there was a demand for trees. I wasn't sure whether, if we started asking people to pay for them, whether there's a drop off in demand, and there didn't seem to be. And in fact, as the research found, they do actually survive better, and people do seem to look after them better if they're paying something for their trees. Yeah.
We went in absolutely blind. Kent's never done a tree scheme before. I couldn't draw on any experience from any other teams within the council to help me with it, so I relied a lot on the other project officers in this project to give me a little bit of advice. But I had a little bit of expectation, because Kent's quite a large county, has a really high population, that there would be quite a bit of demand, but I didn't expect that it would be as high as it actually was. For every 5 applications we received, I had to reject 4 of them, because there was such high demand. Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to fall away with years, with time, does it? And even with you paying, people are paying, the trees still go out the door, don't they?
Well, we have in Kent we only did the free tree.
Oh, you only did free, yeah.
It's a subsidised scheme, so I don't really have anything to compare it to. But I did have a vast majority of people saying, "Are you going to do this again?
Yeah,
Are you going to do this again?" So,
But you were surprised with the subsidised, like how, there was a demand for it. We had to do a bit more marketing.
And it might take a bit longer to go, but they do all go, don't they?
Yeah, and then we got way more trees out of the door that way, because people were contributing to them as well. So
it's double the trees, isn't it?
Yeah, you get double the amount of trees out for the same cost.
Nearly, not quite, because the cost of running the scheme, we also subsumed.
It did take a lot more project officer time as well, I felt like, doing the subsidised scheme compared to the free, because there's just so much more to sort out with payment systems and terms and conditions and working out possible refunds, and just there are quite a lot of elements like that took quite a lot of time, and a lot of chasing people for payments as well.
there's a lot.
Once it's set up, it's not so bad, but just the first time it does take a fair amount of
There's
time.
still
to
a
set
fair
up.
amount of admin even once it's set up.
Yeah.
You do have to.
Yeah.
A lot of this manual payments, you can't alternate them and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this was one of the things I didn't quite consider, I don't think, before running the scheme. The free tree scheme was you're giving things away for free, so the recipient doesn't have... It's something like they don't have the ownership of the trees until they get them, but when money is changing hands, it's much more complicated from a legal point of view, because they're buying a service from the local authority. So exactly what you said, there's more legal involvement, there's more terms and conditions, and it's a little bit more complicated when money has to
Certainly needed to involve more council teams like finance in drawing up contracts and getting the payment systems all aligned in with you.
We were a bit concerned though, because we were trying to ensure that the trees were defined as a perishable good so that people couldn't return them later down the line. But we didn't have actually anyone over the whole years that we've been running it kind of then trying to return any trees or bringing that up at all. But there was a kind of concern beforehand.
And I think you have to cover all bases as well, don't you? For the subsidised tree scheme, I'm not sure about the other local authorities, but the trees didn't get out the door as quickly. For the free tree scheme, we did do comms, but yeah, the uptake was quite quick. For the subsidised tree scheme, all the trees did go out the door in the end, but we did have to do much more. We had to do more comms, more promotion around the scheme to try and get it out there. And we also increased the numbers of trees that an individual applicant could apply for. We had the cap in the free tree scheme was 200 max, and then in the subsidised tree scheme we upped it to 400 that an individual could apply for.
Why did you decide to do that?
Because we didn't think the demand would be as great for the subsidised tree scheme. And we did have fewer applicants, but the same number of trees went out, but fewer applicants.
We did similar, and we just didn't have a cap at all for the subsidised. We also, because we found that, we offered a larger pack for the subsidised, so we had a pack, I think, of 125, whereas for the free trees, the largest pack was 20 trees.
We changed, not entirely the offer, but we added in a hedgerow bundle in the subsidised tree scheme, and that was based on feedback. In the free tree scheme, lots of people wanted a hedgerow pack, but we didn't offer it for the free tree scheme in Chichester. So the second year when we ran the subsidised scheme, we introduced a hedgerow bundle, and I think that was the most popular bundle, and the most trees got out.
In Shropshire, hedgerows were much more popular than individual trees, bundles of trees, yeah.
Our most popular one was our small urban pack, which
It's the same for Norfolk.
yeah, so it had 10 trees in, but we received some feedback saying they wished there was even less.
We've been trialling actually this year.
Single tree.
Yeah, single trees from the community tree nursery.
Fruit trees as well.
We have done fruit trees as well. Yeah.
Orchard packs.
Yeah.
Did you offer people, so we had an urban bundle of 10, and we had some people that said they only had space for 1 or 2. What we offered was they could apply as a group, so a whole street, for example, or a few neighbours could apply for a pack of 10 and split the bundle between houses or between gardens, and that seemed to work quite well. Had a few people doing that, because exactly that, they only wanted 1 or 2.
I think it's worth saying as well that I think we all got the nursery to do the bundling, because we did consider at the start whether we should just get the trees ourselves and durable. But I think that would be a huge amount of work. So
The more you can get the nurseries to do, that's right. So like Chichester, we got the nursery to give away the trees as well that we weren't delivering. So it cut down on our time contribution and our admin costs dramatically. So you get more trees out there for you.
yeah, so they arrived from the nursery in there, packaged up and labelled.
That was one of the other costs, actually, that we had to pay the nursery. I think it was something like £5 per order to the nursery. So that was something that they included, and that was just something else we had to do.
I think the idea of the people going to the nurseries to collect the trees, if you can find a nursery that would do that, because it saves all the administration of running collection days, because if you've got 8 sites, that's 8 staff members.
So I was expecting applicants to change between the free and the subsidised tree scheme, and there was there was similarities across both schemes. I was expecting maybe more kind of private landowners and things to apply for the subsidised tree scheme when people had to pay, but we still got schools, we still got parish councils, community groups in the subsidised tree scheme. So that was quite an interesting one. There's a real range of applicants, and I think this scheme is the most open out of all the schemes we ran. It was really open, really flexible. Anyone could apply, really.
I thought, yeah, a lot of ours, I think, were looking to plant in gardens. Like they were,
Yeah, that was asking as well.
yeah. It was interesting that there were still community groups and farmers applying. And I think some of those groups, you know, they could have probably got a grant for tree planting, or they could have, got some free trees from somewhere, but they'd chosen to do this scheme, maybe just because it was easiest.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of appeal in the scheme that it's just the ease of, like, you say you want these trees and you turn up at your collection point and get them. You don't have to do any deciding or sourcing the trees or sourcing the protection. It's all kind of done for you.
We had a brownie group receive some trees, and they came to collect them, and I said, what are you going to do with them? And they were going to be planting them to get one of their brownie badges. That was
I think the most memorable sight for me were the residents, or kind of smaller residents. They seem to be really, really grateful, because I think that's the kind of the missing niche of wider grants. That if you're just a resident with a garden, you could exactly. And I kind of, in the monitoring in the summers following the project, I went to some sites and they were so grateful, and it's really nice. And even I think it's because we took the hard work out for them. We picked the trees, we bundled them up, as he says, and then they could just pick. So it's so nice having such grateful recipients of the trees.
I think it's also the way we promoted the scheme as well, because at KCC we did targeted Facebook ads across the county, and there's probably a lot of residents who aren't in those kind of environmental or tree groups on social media, or reading those kinds of things, who wouldn't find out about these schemes if it wasn't for just looking on Facebook, because they live in Kent.
Yeah, social media worked really well, and we did one in radio interview as well.
So did we. Yeah.
I think, running these tree schemes has been really interesting. I think they've shown that they are an effective way of getting trees established across all the sites, across the local authorities involved, which is amazing, and a 60% survival rate at the moment. So a really good way of getting large numbers of trees in the ground.
I think it's also quite a nice offer as a local authority as well, to just because anyone can apply for it.
It makes quite good, like a good news story.
Yeah, exactly.
It definitely helps with boosting the opinion of the council.
Yeah. And it can also help raise the awareness of other schemes as well. Like sometimes someone might come to you originally for a tree pack, and then you might get them interested in agroforestry grant or something else as well. It can kind of be a way in.
Yeah. And actually, we didn't have any restrictions. They could do both.
Yeah.
So we had applicants that came in. So the first year that we ran the tree scheme was a really great way of just linking up with lots of people across the district who were interested in tree planting, and then they were happy to kind of be contacted further down the line if we had more grants, which we ended up doing. We ended up having more grants available. So it was a really good networking opportunity, I think, to link up with people that wanted trees.
It must be a good way of increasing the number of trees in the ground, because Norfolk County Council embraced it and they hadn't done it before.
So I think running a tree scheme is a really good way of getting trees in the ground for a local authority. You've got a very distinct offer to applicants. You front load quite a lot of the work as a local authority, whether it's the team or the project officer. You create distinct bundles, you've got an application form, and for the applicants it's very clear what the offer is. They can go on, mostly done through an online form, a few checks and balances, and they decide what they want, and then it's ticked off at the local authority point of view. So I think running tree schemes has a really high value to planting trees. It's shown to be an effective way of getting trees established, definitely.
And if the local authority has a target for achieving net zero, then getting hundreds of thousands of trees planted is a great way to do it that involves the local community and has a real feel-good
And also, it doesn't require any land on the behalf of the local authority.
No, because it's all private land. Yeah.
Yeah, the onus is on the applicant to plant, to maintain,
Yeah.
and things. So it's less on the local authority to maybe find contractors or that kind of thing. There is a lot of work up front with the procurement, with different teams in the local authority, IT, finance, etc. But once that's all in place, it's
But say even
Like
if
shit,
a
we'll
local
need to run.
authority, they don't need to do it every single year, and it would say they did it every 2 or 3 years, a free tree scheme or a subsidised tree scheme, it would still make a big difference to the tree numbers planted.
I also think it's really nice that if you're a local authority and you haven't got a huge offer in terms of tree planting, that this is just open to everyone.
Yeah.
So it's not just, you're doing a grant particularly for farmers or anything. Anyone in your local authority can apply for that. So it's like community groups, residents, farmers, it's open to all.